It's an early spring morning on the tropical planet of Naboo, and Padme was awakened by the simple chorus of birds from the balcony. She arose slowly, stretching her arms out wide, breathing in deeply the fresh morning air. Naboo was a peaceful planet, and a major provider of vegetation and animal life to the surrounding systems. Still governed by the royal court, the Naboo have little influence within the Galactic Republic, but do still serve and appreciate the Senate. From the capital city of Theed, the royal court has ruled justly and peacefully for over hundreds of generations. The royal court consists of 8 governors, 4 representatives, and 1 king or queen, the head of the court. Each member is voted in by the planet, but the candidates of the high seat must be a blood relation to one of the royal families: Amidala, Phineas, and Merconda. Padme Amidala is the youngest child of King Shamgar Amidala, who was highly praised for keeping the peace between the Naboo and the native Gungans, frog-like humanoids who live within the swamps of Naboo. Though Shamgar did not bring full understanding between the two, he did prevent a costly confrontation. "My lady, the Queen requests your presence." "Thank you, Sarai. I'll be there shortly," said Padme, responding to the maid. She quickly dressed herself and headed to the Queen's chambers. Padme loved walking around the palace of Theed. She had grown up within these walls and was now in the service of the Queen. The combination of graceful archways and mammoth pillars created a stunning sight. There were large hallways filled with portraits and maps opposite to the glass windows overlooking the valleys and forests of Naboo. Padme reached the Queen's quarters and knocked on the marble door. "Come in," the Queen responded, and Padme entered. "Good morning, Your Highness." "And to you, Padme, though it has not been a good morning to this point. Contion is not giving us any slack nor any support." Padme assisted the Queen in taking off her royal garbs and putting on more comfortable attire. "He seems to agree with the Viceroy that they are still within the contract and that we are in danger of losing our commercial farms. But he doesn't believe us that the Trade Federation is holding a full-on blockade, not just a patrol." The Queen struggled with the hairpiece and groaned with frustration. "That filthy womprat!" Queen Malaya had just finished a meeting with Grimius Contion, the head of the contract disputes within the Republic, and Viceroy Newt Gunray, the head corporate leader of the Trade Federation. The meeting was to discuss the blockade held by the Federation preventing any vessel from leaving the Naboo system. The Trade Federation is the biggest trading company in the galaxy and provides food, building materials, weapons, and other goods to almost 50% of the galaxy. The corporate leader positions are now all held by Nemoidians, allowing for the Viceroy Newt Gunray to have much decision power for the agenda of the Federation. Naboo deals most of their goods through the Federation, but Naboo has been on course to not reach the amount stated within the contract between the two, allowing for the Federation to monitor the production of the goods. Naboo had been suffering from a mild famine for the last 2 years. If Naboo cannot find a way to reach the assigned quantity, then they will have to pay the Federation for the goods, which could lead to the selling of some of Naboo's farms. Last year, Naboo was able to get by because of their insurance through the Republic. With that money, Naboo was able to speed up production and buy produce from surrounding systems. This year, however, the famine is worse, and the Federation has not allowed for any outside trade to take place on Naboo. Contion agrees that a blockade from the Federation is beyond the restrictions of the contract, but believes the Viceroy that the Federation is just monitoring our outside trade. Why doesn't Contion send an ambassador to confirm the blockade? He has already, and the ambassador has said there is no blockade, just a patrol. He said that he would send another, and that we still have time before we are forced to sell our farms. The Queen was completely redressed now, and Padme was preparing a cup of tea, while Queen Malaya adjusted her hair. "If we can't get off the planet, then we cannot bring in the proper materials needed to improve the harvest, nor can we bring in the produce from other systems." Malaya slammed the desk with 2 closed fists, just about spilling the hot tea that Padme had just brought. "I'm sorry, Padme. I know there's nothing you can do, but I just needed to vent out my frustration." "It is fine, my lady. I understand and share your frustration. Eventually, the Federation is going to get caught for their blockade, and I am sure Senator Palpatine will persuade the Senate for more support, for they know the importance of our production and do not want that in the hands of the Federation. The Federation already has so much power and resources, the Republic can't afford for them to grow." "Yes, I suppose you are right." Padme placed her hand on Queen Malaya's shoulder, and Queen Malaya embraced it. "You have such wisdom for your age. I do not know what I would do without your support, younger sister. Now go and fetch Wang. I need to speak to my head farmer about our progress. Then you can continue with your other duties." Queen Malaya kissed Padme's hand and sent her away. The door closed behind Padme as she exited. She paused and leaned against the door, slowly sinking down to a sitting position. She buried her face into her knees, fighting off the tears. She was scared for her sister. The fate of Naboo rested on Malaya's shoulders, and Padme knew that the people would only pressure the Queen more and more as the famine worsened, which could force conflict with the Federation. The Federation is not a forgiving organization, and their deception was only the beginning of what seemed to be a plan to take over the planet and its resources. Padme did not want that weight to be on her sister's shoulders. The pressure to bring peace, as their father had done, would be demanded from the people, and the consequences, if she couldn't, would be far greater than the ones their father faced. Padme feared change, feared the conflict and the possibility of losing their home and their freedom, feared that everything that her family had worked so hard to secure would be ruined by the greed of the Federation. Wiping the tears from her eyes, Padme got up and sighed. If change was to come, then she must be strong to face the challenges, to trust her sister and leader to pull them through.